Hello. It's Tuesday. So, you know what's been bugging me? The fact that we don't have a senator from Minnesota. Well, we have one. We're supposed to have two. And you remember back in November there was that election thing? Well, we had an election for a senator. And the results of that election were really, really close. Less than 0.5%. And by law in Minnesota, if the election is less than 0.5% difference, you have to recount the votes. So they recounted the votes. And the results of the recount were certified by the State Canvassing Board, which is made up of 6 judges and the Secretary of State. And they certified the election saying that Al Franken was the winner. His opponent, Norm Coleman, challenged the ruling. The challenge went before a 3-judge panel made up, I should say, of 3 judges that were, one was appointed by a Democrat, one was appointed by a Republican, and the third was appointed by an Independence Party governor. So, you know, it's a good mix of judges, you would think. The 3-judge panel upheld the certification of the election by the State Canvassing Board. Norm Coleman challenged it again. Now the challenge is going to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court isn't going to actually hear the challenge until June. I mean, that kind of makes sense. They have a lot of stuff to look at. There's thousands of pages of documents and all kinds of shit they gotta slog through. I don't envy the Supreme Court having to take this case. I was really annoyed that we only had one senator. The Secretary of State, however, has kind of made me feel better about that whole situation. He said this.
I actually myself am not worried about the Senate not having, this is a lot of kind of personal opinion, but it's partly because we have senators who are out for a year or two with a stroke, or we have senators who become senile and they're there for 6 years. I mean, the Senate has its own way of being, but...
So, yeah, that's kind of true, isn't it? But yeah, so, I guess I don't feel so bad about not having 2 senators, but I just am really annoyed at Norm Coleman. And I might have said in my video on my own channel yesterday that he's a whiny bitch. And I don't know that he's a whiny bitch so much as he's just spineless. And he just goes along with anything that his party is telling him to do. Although former Republican governor of Minnesota, Arne Carlson, did call for Norm to concede after the State Canvassing Board certified the election results. That was nice, but of course that didn't work. Arnie Carlson isn't a bigwig in the Republican Party. So yeah, that, and I think that's what Norm's doing. He's going along with the party. The party is telling him to keep fighting, so he does. That's the way I'm looking at it. I'm sure he'd deny that if you asked him, but I'm sure he'd deny a lot of things if you asked him. Alright. See you tomorrow, Nick.